Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. It is April 9th, 2022. Tonight, we will be talking about a brand new update regarding PlayStation 1 classic titles on PlayStation Vita and how some of them are starting to expire for some strange reason. We'll also be talking about Ubisoft and their NFT push as they have officially stopped development on Ghost Recon and what that's going to mean for their NFT push going forward. We'll also be talking about an unfinished Gex Jr. demo that happened to leak out back from the PlayStation 1 days back in the early 2000s. Very interesting to see something like that surface after all these years. We got that and more, but we're going to roll our intro first and then get things started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup for the week of November 20th, 2020. It is Friday. It is, where's my date? It's September 18th. 2020 here to our first story, and this is actually breaking news for all of us right now here too. Figured this is a kind of a big one to cover, of course, with who it is. Joined via Discord by Kyle because we're in the midst of a pandemic still, and of course everything is all kinds of crazy. So this thing is a chocker. I mean,
yeah, it's a beast.
It's huge. Doing that we had the Resident Evil stuff, that they were successful with Castlevania. Welcome to another NPCs Weekly News Roundup. And it's the news time. I am joined, of course, by Kyle via Discord. Kyle, hello.
What's up?
Man. There we go. We are live, everybody. Welcome again. It is April 9th. 2022, another week that we have all survived in this crazy, crazy video game world. Of course, I am Travis. As you can see, the name popped up right below me. And of course, next to me via Discord is Kyle. Hey, Kyle.
What's up?
Hey, it looks like your audio is actually working this time. We didn't have to do any crazy checks or anything of the sort. So yes, man. So what is up? Like I told you, first off, you and I, we've been playing the network test for Gundam Evolution. I want to make mention of that. And ever since we started playing it, more and more Gundam stuff has just started to become more apparent to me, like the number of toys and number of Gunpla models that are actually like in our town itself, our small town, just the number of those that are available. And so, of course, let me swing down here real quick. I know, of course, you can't see my camera except for on the stream, but of course, I had to go and get myself another set. I haven't built a Gundam model in several years, but I picked up the Gundam Heavy Arms High Grade, of course, Wing Gundam, or Gundam Wing, excuse me. So I get to do that now, while, of course, you have, of course, got your addiction to Lego now.
Yeah.
Yeah, how you've got, I know, of course, for the audience there, they might be able to see it kind of behind your head, and to the, let me see here, to the right, you've got the new Sonic Lego, though. How much fun was that one?
Yeah. That it was and wasn't fun. Just because the whole Green Hill brown and tan patterning, it's all like single buttons that are double stacked. So you're like 2 tan, 2 brown, 2 tan, and it's like all the way across, and it's in sections. So that was a pain in the ass, but I don't know. It turned out really cool, so I don't know. I was happy with that. Makes me want to buy more Legos again.
Oh, really? Hang on a minute. Let's see. Let's bring this up here.
Of course, I did end up actually going out and buying the two car Legos shortly thereafter. So
yeah, you did.
I've got that going. Yeah, I've got the what is it? The old Countach and the Jesco for Forza fans out there.
Man, you and that, I mean, like that Lego addiction. I mean, I know we know a few people who are really big into like the Gundam building and that still, and those addictions just go nuts, don't they? Like as soon as you start with one, it's just all of them start to roll out. But I got the Lego setup here now from Lego's website, and I can see that now. I knew, of course, that the Sonic style is that alternating brown pattern, for the for like especially like the dirt areas in Green Hill Zone, but I didn't realize that they were actually like almost each individual like one by one little just dots that you were basically putting on there, little squares. That
and like I said, it's not just single square. It's 2 tan, 2 brown, and then it caps it off with a single color.
Wow.
And it does that all the way up. But there are some stickers in there, but not that many. It's only on the side walls actually of the ring.
Yeah, I can see that especially here. So okay, well, I mean, that still looks really cool. Like I'm so excited that we're seeing more and more uh, video game, at least like Lego and other building things coming out too. I know like Mega Bloks has always done Halo stuff, but you look at some of the Halo stuff and how they're trying to compete with some of the things on Lego's side for licensing. Some of that stuff looks pretty
Hmm.
cool. But man, I mean, Mario stuff is mostly okay, but the Sonic one, I think by far, I wish they would have done something like that with Mario more than they did with this interactive set that they've got now. But that's just, I guess, maybe me being picky.
Yeah, I don't know. I've considered picking up that TV set with the NES, and the whole reason I like that one is it's more Mario, I feel like, than the actual Lego Mario's set is. But maybe that's just me, but I don't know.
Well, even the question block. I can't believe I said that. Question block from that has all the Super Mario 64 stuff inside of it. I feel like that is even more Mario than the Mario interactive sets. Like for
Right.
even like the scale of those different things, that feels definitely more at home with Mario stuff than this other one does. But again, I could just be being a picky pain in the ass here with it. I don't know.
No, I think I agree on that one.
Yeah,
But
but anyway, enough about the Lego talk. You guys are here to, well, at least it was video game Legos. But hey, we're here to talk about, of course, some of the news stuff that's been going on this week. We're going to start off here with a story that actually only just went live several hours ago. PlayStation 1 titles on the Vita are starting to expire for some strange reason, but there's been no explanation as to why. So, Kotaku, Video Games Chronicle have all been reporting on this, saying that the PlayStation 1 classic version of Chrono Cross has a decades-old expiration date and won't boot after being downloaded. Some people are also reporting this with Final Fantasy VI, Run Factory Oceans, Unit 13. Someone here on the on Reddit, in the Vita Reddit, all the games that they had purchased and downloaded aren't even launching anymore either. It's just crazy
that's
what's
super
ever going
weird.
on. Yeah. Um, it seems like one person here said like refresh PlayStation Plus. There's a bug related to this a few minutes ago. Um, yeah, so what they're all doing is they are all resetting to December 31st, 1969, which is in one way or another, it's kind of like almost like a default that you see sometimes when dates reset on some things. And I'll bring up the actual screen caps here from the Video Game Chronicle article on Twitter, but you can see here
Yeah.
on Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger starts like for this guy 5/1/2014, probably when he purchased it, and expires 12/31/69. So there's no explanation as to what's going on here. And it's happening across the board, though, right now, at least as much as it's being reported. And Sony still has yet to say anything about what is happening. So we all worry about video game preservation, especially with games that have gone all digital, physical copies not existing anymore. This just makes things that much worse, especially with some people, throwing the conspiracy around with this, saying that, oh, the new Chrono Cross game, the re-release of it dropped. Is it possible that they're expiring this one to make people go buy it again? What's your take on that one then, Kyle?
I mean, it definitely looks like it, but I don't think so. I just feel like, especially with it being multiple games, that's your number one like red flag. But beyond that, all the dates seem to be resetting, and because it's 1969. I think what's happening, even if they have a uh, a longer contract than what was actually entered in. Someone just put some BS date in when they entered it in, thinking, "Oh well, we can just fix it later." It's not going to be a big deal, or who knows if the console will last that long. You know, um, it could be a multitude of things, but it could also be that they hit a license expiration date that wasn't updated during when they were actually updating their licenses for games, because if I remember right, Chrono Cross might be actually one that's playable on the PS3 as well. So um it's one of those things that when it hits that date, it's going to reset to whatever date that the system saw that it was the first date for them.
it's very possible that it could be something like that. A lot of people are, or at least according to what Kotaku suggests, is talking about like this Unix epoch, which is it's Unix time, so it's a system time for representing a point in time. It is the number of seconds that have elapsed since January 1st, 1970, at 0000 UTC. Um, so that's just, yeah, according to what the Unix epoch is, January 1st, 1970 at 00 UTC is referred to as the epoch. Early Unix engineers picked that date arbitrarily because they needed to set a uniform date for the start of time, and New Year's Day 1970 seemed the most convenient. So whether it's some type of bug that might exist in the underlying code that just, like you said there, Kyle, could have been something that was skipped at the end of it all, that was just like, oh, okay, whatever. We kind of, we know that we need to fix it, but as game technology moves on, we just didn't get to it, or we forgot about it.
Yeah.
I don't really believe into the potential conspiracy about it being tied to the Chrono Cross re-release. It is timed very, very like very interesting to it, especially because that just did. So I don't know. I really don't believe it. But of course, with everything else shutting down and video game preservation being as important as it is, I don't know. I do feel for those who don't have access to their games, and I'm hoping Sony speaks up soon as to what's going on.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure it's probably just a hiccup in the system. There were a few games that got either left behind or maybe their licenses did expire and it reset it back to that date. So it's just not a playable title currently because they have to actually go in and update the licensing on the title. And it's just, they have to go in and change the date. Probably something that hadn't been done or forgotten about, or, like I said, license expired. And that's one thing that it's going to be inconvenient, but it potentially could happen in the future more and more, even with games on Steam and on PC.
Yeah, potentially. I would think so. I don't know. I mean, Steam maybe not so much, but you are right though. I mean, especially for devs who might have like gone under and their assets have been picked up by another company and not necessarily like worked on to the fullest extent that they should have been. There is some things like that. But I mean, the Vita itself, all of the storefronts have been basically shut down or are at least in the process of
For
being
the
shut
most
down.
part.
Exactly. So there is some of that though to also be concerned about too, that the whole storefront going belly up could also potentially contribute to something like this too if you don't have any
But
recourse to get that stuff back.
you also think about it, that was actually kind of one of the reasons for the creation of good old games being so specific about how they release their titles DRM free.
True.
That way you can actually download the title. You can download it in its entirety and install it on, other devices if you need to.
Very true. That's a very excellent point why they exist though, and they have definitely helped out with a lot of it. So we're just, at least as of right now, with everything that's happening, Sony has still yet to make a comment on what's going on, whether this is some type of bug in the Vita, whether it's some sort of bug within the actual game code, or something that deals with the online connectivity part. In the meantime,
Or
of
maybe
course,
they're just pulling a Nintendo and phasing it all out.
they're phasing it out without telling anybody. We've seen that happen
Yep.
a couple times. Yes. So in the meantime, right now, though, if you are experiencing this issue, you're just going to have to sit back and wait to figure out exactly what's going on. There are some people there on the PlayStation Vita subreddit who have provided some guidance on what you can attempt to do, and it looks like it's mixed results on getting those games to effectively like unexpire themselves. So your mileage may vary, but give it a try. And of course, let us know in the comments if you do have that problem and what exactly you did to solve the issue if you were able to. In the meantime, keep an eye out on that message from Sony. Of course, we carry on, and it's our favorite topic to talk about, Kyle, NFTs, because God damn it,
I love
everything
this
here.
one.
So Ubisoft has announced that they are done creating new content for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That was the first game that they announced for their Ubisoft Quartz NFT platform. And
actually, right now, the only game that utilizes the Quartz NFT platform.
Jesus Christ, yes, the only game with everything else. So anyway, they announced, of course, that they are still all gung ho and all for continuing the path and charting the path for NFTs and all of their games. However, this article from The Verge actually highlights one big thing that I'd like to at least focus on right now. Here is what they said. So, let's see, the actual part of the article here, it says there are no new NFTs available according to the court's website, though you can still browse resale markets on Object or Rarible. It's unclear if the Ghost Recon Breakpoint NFTs will be transferable to future games in some way, though as far as I, being the Verge's writer here, know, Ubisoft has never promised this would be the case. And then Ubisoft replies saying that is one of the many potential possibilities made possible thanks to blockchain technology. And that was in an email from Ubisoft spokesperson Jessica Roach, Roach to The Verge. And after that, The Verge asked Ubisoft directly if they can confirm it will let players who bought digits transfer them to other games, but Roach said the company had nothing to add. And The Verge makes a great comment right here, Kyle. It's the exact same thing we've been saying all this time. If they don't transfer, that means people who may have paid a good amount of money for one of the digital collectibles are stuck owning it in just one game that is no longer getting new content from the developer, much like what happens with more traditional virtual gaming gear when a game shuts down. That might sting for those who picked up an NFT at a high price. And this Verge author here said, I saw that one digit was purchased in late March on Rarible, for 1,000 Tezos, which is currently equivalent to $330.
Wow.
It's the exact problem we've been talking about. I don't want to curse here too much on stream, but that's the exact problem we've been talking about this whole time. Ubisoft did not come back here to them at all and provided no comment, or at least said the company had nothing to add about how those NFTs from Breakpoint are going to transfer to other games in the future. That how exactly am I going to use this Breakpoint NFT in another Ghost Recon game? Or am I going to be able to take it to another Ubisoft title? Or am I going to be able to do something else with it? It's the same thing every time, Kyle. Every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it me, or is this just purchasing cosmetics for your characters with extra steps for one game? That's literally what they've done. They've pulled the wool over our eyes. I think we talked about this happening, you and I both. So just the fact that they won't comment, and it's ridiculous. Just totally unacceptable. And just proves that they're going to do their best to squeeze you for as much money as possible.
Oh, I agree.
For those cosmetics that, all of a sudden, they once upon a time they could charge you $20 for a cosmetic pack, and then people said, "Oh, $20 is too much." Well, that cosmetic pack became $5, and then they could sell individual ones for $1. Well, that wasn't enough for Ubisoft, so let's just sell this ridiculous currency that gives you a collectible article of clothing that may or may not transfer. What the heck is that? Seriously.
No, I 100% agree. There was an article, I tried to find the original article, but I couldn't put it up here, is actually showing, and I know it's funny because of what we talked about, like, with our last podcast episode and discussed talking about a game's longevity. But it talked about metaverse games, and it talked about metaverse games, and those that have NFT backing on them have just really dropped in player count, have dropped really in retaining players compared to those games that don't have anything with NFTs in them. It's like it was this neat quick rush for people to go in and do, and then it immediately just fell off. And people still continue to invest and push into these different things, with the metaverse being this big talk. I mean, Epic Games and Lego are actually partnering up on making a kid-friendly metaverse, which seems to have something NFT also tied with it too. But that's the whole thing, is that it's like the hype is real, but the drop-off is also real. It happens in a matter of days to even weeks for things. And then, of course, you've got the risk for one of these NFT-based games, Axiom, I think was what it was called, and it was some sort of like cutesy looking character game. But the problem with it is that they got hacked, and all of the digital currency in that game, all of the coin that's with that game was taken. Like everything, like millions. It was the biggest single um, digital currency theft, I guess, is what they were actually saying that was at. I can't remember the exact figures.
Wow.
But look at all of that, though. And Ubisoft is still pushing this with their giving that stuff to their devs for free. You know, they are giving stuff out for free. They were giving stuff out for free in Breakpoint. But now it's like, what's next? How much more does the industry need to really see to say this is a dumb idea? Nobody's doing
Right.
this right at all. I don't
I
know.
agree. I agree. There's no feasible way to work it into a game. It's literally just artwork. How are you gonna work artwork into a game? You're gonna write the same code to go into games for the next 50 years, the next 100 years. Are my grandchildren gonna be able to enjoy this digital piece of artwork that I purchased when I was a kid and I was dumb, you know? How does that work? It doesn't make sense. Like I guess the real question is, as an adult, have you ever purchased something really nice and then just, I don't know, lit it on fire and watched it burn, or had it stolen right away? And it was really expensive, or all of a sudden it was devalued the very next day, like it was totally worthless. It was perfectly fine, but totally worthless. That's what Ubisoft has just done to you.
I really like the analogy of buying something shiny and new and then immediately lighting it on fire. It's like the people who would go and buy video game consoles on release, walk by the people in line and then
Oh
throw
yeah.
them on the ground, like smash them right in front of everybody who's waiting in line
Yeah.
to get one. I remember that especially when the PlayStation 3 launched, and seeing some of the
Oh
videos there.
yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple people that did that, I think, in like New York, and it's insane to think about because that's probably a really good analogy to actually use with it. And it's just fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's really what this is. And it comes back
It's
to
a cash grab.
yeah, I'm going to use something, talking like, well, just take something from a Ubisoft game here from Far Cry. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Thanks, Voz. Appreciate that one. But that's just the thing, is that it's just constantly, uh, constantly happening. It's just constantly going on here that everything has to incorporate NFTs in some form and into any game whatsoever. And it's constantly failing. 70% of game companies don't want NFTs in their game. They have no plans to incorporate any of them in there. I don't know exactly where the other 30% are, whether they're just within that 30% that they say they are putting them in, or they're considering it, or they are researching it. But at least 70% of other companies are fortunately not dumb.
Yeah,
At
I
least on
just don't
this.
understand, spending exorbitant amounts of money on a non-tangible thing that could just expire anytime, and it's a total gamble of when.
It really is, and I think that's just kind of what hurts a little bit more here with all of that. Is just it's people are continuously pumping money into this entire thing, and nothing changes.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. I don't know. I'm exhausted just thinking about it sometimes, though, too. So
I totally am. It just it boggles my mind. I wonder if going into the Ubisoft offices, they have like a set of double doors, and you pass through the first, like you don't see it on the outside, but once you pass through that first one, that Voss statement is just written above the doors. They want you to know we're gonna do the same thing over and over and over again at these offices, and everyone's gonna like it.
God, it hurts so much. I got to get away from this pain and something that makes me happy instead. So let's do that. Kyle.
Assassin's Creed Space Colony.
Get out of here. That's why I'm moving on to something else that brings me joy instead. And that's going to be Halo Infinite Season 2 is starting on May 3rd. We have less than a month now for this. Yes, Kyle, I moved on from NFTs into Halo, okay? Because
Okay,
that's just
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
our
that.
news for the last few weeks has been nothing but Halo and NFTs. So sorry folks, that's just how things work. But we have the
But
official.
this is good Halo news.
True. We have the official announcement that Halo Infinite's second season is going to start on May 3rd. Lone Wolves is going to be coming, and 343 has dropped us an official trailer, at least a short trailer talking about this, at least, and or not talking about it, but just showing off some of the stuff here. And it does actually look like it's gonna be really cool. We've got 2 new maps. We've got a couple new modes, like a new King of the Hill type mode, which apparently is going to function more like a battle royale of some type. We've got new armor skins. We've got a new battle pass also coming up here too. We got everything that's starting to really happen with this. And of course, a lot of people are upset because of the nerfs to the Mangler. But yeah,
Yeah.
But I'm not. I like the Mangler.
I'm mad.
Oh, I know. I like the Mangler, but I'm okay with it getting a little bit of a change. It's not going to be the end of the world. But we are getting, again, it's 2 new maps. We're getting, of course, some balance changes on things. We are getting, of course, the new game modes. But we still don't have any word on Forge and campaign co-op, which campaign co-op has been pushed out until later in season 2, potentially the beginning of season 3. And Forge apparently is in the hands of some well-known streamers and content creators and influencers in the gaming community for them to be able to play with and try things out, just to at least provide some feedback to 343. Couple of things.
It's going to be bigger than anything.
I know. Yeah, especially with all the leak stuff we've seen for Forge too. So it really needs that additional feedback. We've also seen, though, too, especially in the bigger blog posts they talk about for the things coming up in season 2, and this is an interesting one, but you will now be able to actually earn in-game credits at when you buy the Battle Pass. You'll be able to earn 1,000 in-game credits as you play through the Battle Pass. So if you complete the Battle Pass before the next one becomes available, and as long as prices stay the same in the store, you could take that 1,000 credits and buy the next Battle Pass with those. Like, if you can complete the entire season, you wouldn't have to buy a Battle Pass again with your own money. You just have to keep playing it multiplayer, and you can just buy it that way. So that means that for those of us who can complete the Battle Pass in short time, which, Kyle, for you and I think we did it in about 2 months, that we could have that built up and be ready to purchase the next one, or maybe something else that happens to come along that we also like. I don't know, but I am excited.
It is something that all the other battle royales with battle passes do. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy that they did bring that into the Halo scheme of things. It means you can potentially write out, that $20 battle pass for, as many months as you really want to play the game continuously. So if you really want to get all the content, you can write it out and still get your money's worth without having to spend a dime.
That's exactly what I think.
Except for that initial, $20 or $10 or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to kind of help with a lot of things here too, especially to help kind of drive that, knowing that it's like you can just keep buying the Battle Pass over and over without, without having to actually pay again, as long as you're putting in the effort to do it. But a couple other things I want to highlight here from their actual long, like TLDR on Halo Waypoint, talking about a few things. So the new arena map is called Catalyst. The new Big Team Battle Big Team Battle map is called Breaker. We are going to be getting, let's see, where are the new modes at here? We have King of the Hill is being added, and then Attrition is also being added too. So King of the Hill, we're all pretty familiar with, being able to retain a point over a certain amount of time, and then, of course, making, the other team coming in to take over that point and building up to 100% instead of it being similar to Total Control. But then we also have Attrition, where Attrition is going to be more like the Battle Royale style, where it seems to be one of those where you can take the other players down, you can revive teammates, and carry on that way. So that's going to be kind of cool to actually see put in as another event, though. I was really hoping for the potential for shoddy snipers or zombies to be included, for infected to be included.
Yeah,
it looks like it
would have been awesome.
It looks like it is on the list, though. From some things that have leaked out that people have seen, it looks like it's on the list. So I don't know exactly when it'll happen, but it looks like it is going to happen sometime soon. So,
Cool.
but their blog post is massive, lots of changes, especially. And I think one thing for me, especially, is on the PC side. They did make note here saying noticeable stability improvements. Team has resolved dozens of PC crashes, which for me, I've kind of run into some of those problems myself with PC crash, with not necessarily the whole PC crashing, but the game itself just like stopping and then crashing out. It looked like it was something with my Radeon driver. So hopefully that's been resolved.
Well,
Fingers crossed.
remember I had that
That's right, you did.
like a month ago. It just would randomly crash mid-match. So,
Mhm. That's right. I remember that now. Yeah, it would be weird because it would kick you out of the game completely, and you could get through
mhm.
like one match, and then the next one you start up for some reason it would just kick you out completely.
Or I'd get
So
3/4 of the way through the match, then boop, miss out on
yeah,
all the experience.
no, especially like if you were having a good run through. That was what was
Mhm.
getting me the most, is that I'd be having good playthroughs and then drop out. But it's like we already had Battle Pass done, and it might have been one of those events, whether it was the Cyber Showdown one or the Tenrai one. But I mean, at the end of it, it's like it's just an annoyance. But I'm happy to see at least that, or at least see if that does all end up getting fixed. But in the meantime, less than a month to go, and we will get it, buy the Battle Pass, and carry on.
Yeah, I would like to see more of that different tactical styles. We had the Mangler in that one mode. I think it was actually a Lone Wolves like event or something like that.
It was a tactical yeah, it was a tactical Slayer event. I can't remember what they called it. Tactical something, I think. And it
Yeah, but it
was
was all
yeah,
stuff
it
that you
would
could one
rotate.
shot headshot.
Yeah, it would rotate with that so it was Mangler, it was Mangler, Commando, Battle Rifle, Pistol, um the what the carbine has become now, or not the carbine, but the Jackal sniper rifle.
Yeah.
There was one other though too, but yeah, exactly. Is that those? I like the rotation on that too. It's a very interesting one. I'd
Yeah.
like it if they just brought it back to like the way that SWAT used to be, where you could actually have the pistol and have the battle rifle. Though I'd like to
Yeah.
have the two weapons instead of just the one, but that's just me. So maybe
I
just
think
me.
they could actually do it as two different modes. They could have a classic tactical and a just regular tactical, and it would just be fine. I guarantee you they'd still have plenty of players in both lobbies.
Probably, because there's no like, even with what everybody said, there really just doesn't feel like there's a shortage of players because we can get into a game
Yeah.
really quick. So, but of course, a game that we could probably all get back into really quick is this surprise announcement of a remake coming out. More
Hmm.
so, two remakes. Remedy and Rockstar this week have announced that they are going to be joining forces to remake Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, um, going into, I guess, this year through next year until it's all finished and done. So they announced the Remedy had made the announcement that they're going to work with Rockstar under a new agreement. This comes to us from IGN, to remake the first two Max Payne games for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. So their Remedy's going to handle the dev work, and Rockstar is going to finance it, which will be in line with a typical Remedy AAA game production. So and this is the cool part too, I think, for you, Kyle, especially because of you being a fan of Remedy anyway, but they are going to be working on using the same engine that was used for Control and
I was
what's
about to
upcoming for
say,
Alan
yeah,
Wake
they're
2.
using the Northlight engine.
Yes. So that means that
So
those are going to look really slick, especially.
yeah, just imagine bullet time, and when bullets are flying at you,
I know.
papers and shit, it just poo,
I
poo,
know.
poo all around you. It'll be crazy, crazy. And Remedy is actually the original licensee, or I don't know.
Yeah.
They were the original dev for Max Payne 1 and 2. So it's really cool that they're returning for the project. And it was one that actually Rockstar, when they were approached, was like, yeah, let's do it.
I think part of it especially is that um because of all of the things that have revolved around remakes and remasters as of late have I would say a good chunk of them have been successful. We can throw out, that Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto remakes for 3, Vice City, and San Andreas were kind of hot garbage there at first.
Right.
I know everybody wanted it to be all nice and like hot coffee, but it was hot garbage instead. Yeah, I threw that joke out there. Shut up.
And it's still getting there. They're still working.
I know
So
they are. So the fact, though, that it's not being handed out to another company and Remedy is going to be the ones doing it, just exactly as you said, I think that this is the best thing that it could be for Max Payne 1 and 2. And maybe this is also the possibility of it being one of those things where it could lead to maybe a resurgence of Max Payne games going forward, that they are redoing these because there are fans out there of the series. Maybe we could see more Max Payne games actually come out based on the success of these remakes. What do you think?
I mean, it's a possibility. A little early to say, but I think maybe if not Max Payne, something in the same vein, or just kind of branching out. I mean, it gives them more to play with as far as style of game that they're actually producing. Because you think Alan Wake, it was kind of like a thriller game, and then Alan Wake 2 is going to be a horror game. Control is more of your action, sci-fi game, I guess. I both of which I've loved. Quantum Break, it was kind of a sci-fi game. But another thing Remedy is really good at is they like to integrate, a lot of like live action and really good mocap into their games. So it'll be cool to see what they take Max Payne into in that realm as well.
Very true. Yeah, very true. As everything has evolved, I'm excited to see it. Like, I've got to fully admit, when it came to the Max Payne games, I've played little bits of them. I have not actually played full playthroughs of those games, but it's because it's one
Hmm.
of those things that like my mom wouldn't have bought for me. Even though for some reason she bought me Grand Theft Auto, I think it was probably just enough nagging for her to make me buy that when I was a kid. But for Max Payne, it was one of those things that friends had and trying out little bits of when time allowed. So this will at least give me a chance to be able to go back around and at least give these games a full shot that I haven't been able to back when I was a kid and these games originally came out in the first place.
Yeah,
That's what
see,
makes me
and
happy.
for me, same thing. I never really owned the game. I had opportunities to buy it, but it was always like, oh well, I could buy Max Payne, or I could buy this game that I've been saving up for, and obviously it was always the other game. Um, but I actually recently, it's funny because I purchased Max Payne, probably 2 weeks ago. I purchased all three of them, not even knowing that this was going to happen. So I guess it'll give me a chance to go through them, and I in great expectation of the remake. That yeah, it's supposed to be a double pack with a AAA production. So
Where did you pick them
we'll
up at, though,
see.
by the way? Like, did you pick them up on
Steam
Steam?
actually. Yeah,
Really? Okay, well, to Steam I go really quick just to actually see
I got them on a Rockstar sale though, so be
Ah,
aware of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you did. Yeah, so Max Payne 1 is $10 right now. So, yeah, let's
See, I
see
think
here.
I paid $10 for both of them.
The Max Payne complete pack with Max Payne 2, and Max Payne 3 is $55. So yeah, I will wait for the next
Yeah, and it was
sale potentially.
75% off when I got it.
Yeah,
So
I will wait for a little while there to actually go and potentially pick those up. So maybe I can give them a try and then see, maybe about picking up the remake after. But let's wrap this up here, Kyle, with our last story for the news today, and this is by far one of the more interesting things that has come out over the week. A Gex Junior PlayStation 1 demo happened to just appear out of nowhere on the internet. Just for sake of sakes, I guess, just happened to appear 21 years later.
yeah,
So the demo, of course, was talked about here on Kotaku. It looks like Gex Jr. was supposed to be a spin-off the original Gex franchise and it looks like it's supposed to be more of one of those Gex games that was a little bit more targeted towards like the actual kids than the way the original Gex games were, especially with a lot more of like those undertones in that as well.
I wish
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten on sooner to see this, because I would have totally downloaded a Gex soundboard for one of my synthesizers.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? Well, here's the actual
Yeah.
clip. So, but I guess the clip.
I'm your father, Luke.
I guess the clip is dated. I think it says January 2001. So, or at least the demo. So the fact though that at least they were trying to work on something is kind of funny to think about. But
Tail time?
but the fact though, I mean, Gex was still pretty popular at that point anyway, being a PlayStation title, and I think even an N64 title. So
And
It was,
yes,
yeah.
Regis, that is my final answer.
yeah,
If I recall, I believe only Gex 1 and 2, maybe just Gex that were released on the 64. Gex 1, 2, and 3 were released on PlayStation.
let's take a look here at the actual video game releases. Let's see. It was released. Let's see, where all of it. Oh my God, there's so many different things here for Gex. I'm trying to find out all this stuff. Let's see. Gex games here. Gex series. There we go. So we had Gex in '95, which released on 3DO, PC, Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1. Gex Enter the Gecko was PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64, and Game Boy Color. And Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko was released on PlayStation 1, Game Boy Color, and N64. So yes, you are right that the second and third games released on N64, but the first one was Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1. But those ones at that point in time appear to be side scrollers. So
Yeah.
but I mean, it is funny to think about. I mean, like Gex is one of those things that we have not seen anything about for like ever. It was one of those weird like games that just kind of existed to almost like exist, but it kind of fell into obscurity after all this time. But it's one of those that for a lot of us, we do remember at least back from our childhood, especially with a lot of the quips though with Gex 2 and you go and listen to that trailer. I had the little demo there playing there behind us as we were talking a little bit. It was some of the quips there really do seem to line up with the way Gex was as well too. So it's like, yeah, this is probably Gex's kid. No problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even Serpent Knight here says looks more like a what is it? Bubsy game than a Gex game. I don't know what Bubsy is though.
From what I understand, you can totally download the ROM, and if you've got a PlayStation emulator, you can play the actual ROM, and it's not complete, obviously. To the effect that if you hit the select button, it will crash, and it hard crashes. So, but
nice.
it does give you the ability to play it as long as you don't hit the select button. I think that was actually a developer purpose thing, like it probably tied to the developer console menu as an option on a developer system or developer unit. But
Very possible. Very possible. I mean, that's how like some of these great demos end up actually being discovered, is just some of the loose things that people pick up at garage sales, or the things that people happen to come across from like, cleaning up an old office space or something like that.
Right.
They come across all these hidden things. So
on the other hand, it is nice that we have this out in the wild so it can be preserved, not just by the public, but also by the video game archive. So
yeah, it's just, that's why it's like, it's funny though, because like even the article here says is like, it's the fact, yes, it can be preserved. That's a great thing, especially for people to see. But the fact though that even says here, it's like the demo appeared with no real warning, just showed up yesterday, surprising many and confusing most. And it's up there on the Hidden Palace website right now, talking about the prototype itself. It's funny that like it just happens to exist now.
that's how most of them happen. Just happenstance, weird. Someone discovers something and it just happens into the right hands. And thank God they're a good person, and they gave it to the rest of the world to be able to experience.
No kidding. No kidding. So Yeah, at least it's out there. But
Or
I mean,
I mean, it is Gex, so
his Kex. Maybe this, like I said about Max Payne, let's get a new Gex game out there now. Let's like get a ray trace Gex going on out there. Massive one.
oh god.
I don't know. It would just be funny to see if we did have something like that, but I know he won't. But anyway, that is actually it for the video game news this week, right, Kyle? That's about basically everything that kind of happened. I mean, I'm drained already from the NFT stuff.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a new Overwatch character leaked. Not a ton that I saw about it, but some screenshots. And possible rumor of loadout and powers. So, I want to say Kotaku has an article on that one if you want to check it out. It's supposed to be the Junker Queen.
Oh, really? All right, let's bring that one
Yeah.
up here really quick. Let's see here. Come on.
It was either
Internet.
Kotaku or IGN.
Let's see. Yeah, Junker Queen right here. Let's see in the news. This was from 4 days ago, apparently. And so I got this article here from the Game House that says one of the most anticipated characters for Overwatch has been Junker Queen, the queen of the aptly named Junkertown. She has been teased by Blizzard multiple times, and many have been hoping that she would finally make her appearance with Overwatch 2. Well, a new leak may have not only confirmed Overwatch 2 Junker Queen, but also shown her abilities. So it looks like, yeah, she's gonna have scattergun, shotgun, or like so a shotgun type ability there. So maybe something like Roadhog. She's gonna have looks like a serrated blade melee strike, injuring the enemy and doing damage over time. That's her passive ability. Active ability is throwing the blade, comes back to Junker Queen when reactivated, attracts enemy if hit by the blade, excuse me. And then her ability 3 is going to be called Rallying Cry, increases Junker Queen's HP by 200 and nearby allies' HP by 100, increases movement speed by 30%.
Oof.
And then ability 3 is called Carnage. Its active is damages all enemies in front and does damage over time. That makes me think Carnage is going to be tied in with the actual shotgun. Passive adrenaline boost heals all bleeding damage, and then her ultimate is called Rampage. It's an active one. Charge ahead, applies bleeding plus anti-heal to enemies. So apparently it's going to be one of those things where, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen I don't even think any of the Overwatch characters are that powerful.
Well, do keep in mind they are adding more abilities per character. May is going to have different abilities that are specific to single player and multiplayer. I know. I only say that because she's one of my favorite characters, and they showed her in the initial trailer. But I don't know. I feel like Overwatch 2 might be moving a little bit more into the MOBA territory, where we saw, what was that one game that came out the same time as Overwatch that failed? That was the exact same thing.
Yeah, because like it's a lot of these abilities though. Like with some of these things, I just, with the way that Overwatch 2 is supposed to be built up, where you can actually kind of build your pathway for what your character is going to be able to do, it seems like maybe some of these abilities are going to be more like interchangeable with each other as you unlock through like the skill tree, and that you're not going to have all of these right off the bat for the one character.
Well, and I feel like it'll also provide more variety in multiplayer modes as well. Like they could lock you down to specific abilities or lock out specific abilities per character. You could be locked out to tier 1 abilities, or only your tier 1 ability for your
True.
sub ability. Stuff like that. Or you could just play classic mode. So you have to play with classic powers.
True. Very true. It's interesting, though, especially to see a leak like this, because, I mean, Overwatch 2 is supposed to be having some sort of beta here very soon as well. So the fact, though, that there are more characters, or at least this is another potential leak, again, everything take with a grain of salt on what these are. I mean, Junker Queen seems very powerful, so who knows? Maybe she could play something into the actual story side of things instead of just being a playable character. Maybe she'll actually play into the story as more of a villain more instead of the weird anti-hero like what Roadhog and Junkrat actually are. So
Yeah, because
who
that
knows?
30% movement speed, that sounds like it's more than. Isn't that more than Lucio's boost?
It's been so long since I've played Overwatch, I'd have to go back and look again. But you might be
Yeah,
right.
I feel like that's way more than Lucio's speed boost.
Mhm.
So that's pretty insane.
It is.
That's so powerful, especially if you were to do that when you were like, I don't know, trying to move something or yeah, just insane.
It really is. So it's just going to have to be another one. Take it with a grain of salt. Just wait to be seen. But a good one to bring up there, Kyle. I don't know how I missed that one through this week, but that's a good one to have there for sure. But no, that one's out of the way. That is now officially it for the video game, our weekly news roundup here that we do, of course, every week. And just like we say every week, be sure to check out our podcast. Not only do we take this episode for anything that you've missed and convert it to a podcast, but we also do our NPCs Discuss episodes too, where we talk about things in the video game industry, the controversy, histories, all these different things as they relate to very relevant topics. Our last episode here on Thursday was talking about a game's longevity, especially as it relates to games that are being considered dead, with the air quotes there. So go and give that one a listen. It's a really interesting one to hear about, especially as we start to talk about the methodology that people get into as it comes to trying to determine if a game is actually dead or not. Go give that one a listen, of course. Listen to it on your favorite podcast platform of choice, or if you want to go back and listen to our back catalog, every single episode we have done now for literally almost 3 years is available over on anchor.fm/the-NPCs-podcast. And of course, if you subscribe to our podcast as well, you will be able to get that episode directly to all our new episodes directly to the podcast platform of choice as soon as they become available. And of course, follow us on social media, follow us here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so when we do go live, you'll be able to see all that as well. In the meantime, thank you so much, everybody, as usual, for joining us. We appreciate having you along on this fun ride that is the Weekly News Roundup. We will catch you all next week.
Bye-bye.